In this video, I'm going to talk about trading in a co-working environment. Stay tuned. Hey traders, a very warm welcome to you. Okay, so with the rise of these co-working offices that we get in the cities across the UK, and we get them across the US, and in fact all over Europe and the world and Asia, is it something you should do as a trader? You know, if you're trading from home, should you trade from these co-working locations? It's actually a very cheap way of getting office space now. Before, you'd have to rent an office yourself and lease it for multiple years and kind of commit to that. These are kind of very flexible ways, and what they really are, if you're not familiar with them, is a kind of rows of desks, generally speaking, and you rent a desk in this kind of large office. They supply you with water and teas and coffees and snacks, and they often have like rooms for telephone calls and conference calls and stuff, and you get a multiple amount of different people, small businesses, freelancers, whatever it may be, who are paying to sit there every day. And with the rise of this, it kind of got me thinking, you know, could you actually trade from one of these environments? So let's look at the pros and cons, and let's look at kind of some of the things we could do and why we could do it and what we couldn't do and what the kind of struggles we might have if we're in there. So I want to distinguish first between sharing with traders and non-traders. I've shared offices with traders before, and it's a different scenario. With traders, you know, there's a lot of understanding about the concentration involved. If you're sharing with traders, you know, you normally have a signal system where you say, hey, listen, you know, don't disturb me if I'm on my screen. Or we'd have something where we'd say, if someone said something to you and they ignored you, you don't speak to them. Like if you're looking at the screen and someone said, you know, hey Mark, then you'd say, oh, and they wouldn't reply, you just walk away. You know, you just know that they were busy at the time. You could have that, you can have a headphones on your head, don't disturb me, a little sign or something, anything like that. And traders respect it, they get it. They get the fact that when you're in there, you've been waiting all day for this, there's a setup there now, you're in it, you know, there's a lot of money on the table, don't disturb me. They get it and understand it. So that's one of the benefits of trading with traders, and the structure's better, and it's kind of this. But okay, I'm talking now about a co-working environment with non-traders. So you're in there, you've rented this desk space, and you're surrounded by other people doing all sorts of other businesses. How is that working? You know, is it any good? And what have you got to watch out for? The main thing you've got to watch out for in this environment is people coming up and asking you stuff all the time. I remember when I rented an office with this other trader, and we're in this nice business center office. It was a good little office, a decent size, two of us in there, had a lot of screens in it and whatever. We'd have people who were walking across the corridor going to their other offices, and they'd knock on the door and they'd come in and they'd be like saying, oh, what's the FTSE doing today? Or have you got any tips for me today? Or I've got this stock, do you think I should hold it? And you feel like just throwing something at them and saying, just get out of here. You know, that's not what we're about. And ultimately, over time, they realise, hey, don't bother coming in because you're not going to get a very good answer from us. And that's the trouble you have with non-traders, is they think you're all about, hey, can you predict the market for me? Can you tell me about whether this stock's a good thing? Do you know, are you going to give me a tip for a next stock? And of course, we know that's not the game. We might even be trading currencies. We're trading something different. We're not interested in giving tips. We're not talking about investment. We're talking about trading. It's a completely different thing. So while it's okay when you're in the kind of kitchen area to talk to people about markets and kind of stuff they're doing, that's cool. The last thing you want is people coming in. Now, of course, when you've got your own little office, that's fine. You can lock the door. You can say to people, hey, don't bother coming in when I'm busy. You can make it clear. But it's difficult when you're renting a desk in a kind of open space. Someone's going to walk past and they're going to look over your shoulder and go, oh, what are you up to? What are you doing? You know, and that is a problem, because that's a disturbance you don't need. When you're focused, you want to be focused. So my recommendation is to kind of have something that's set, let people know around you that don't disturb me, please, when I've got my sign up that says I'm busy, or when I've got my headphones on. And then you can put those on when you're in the zone and you're ready to trade. When you've got them off, then people know they can come and have a chat with you if you want. I think if you get that down, then you're going to be okay. The second thing is obviously the confidentiality. You know, if you've got a screen there that's showing your account balance, showing the trades you're in, you don't really want everyone to see that often. You want to kind of keep that discreet. It's your own business. It's nobody else's business. So how do you get around that? That's a tricky one, because often you're going to have, you know, sensitive stuff up on the screen. However, you know, there are platforms now where you can not show your P&L, you can not show your account size, and they'll just show you kind of your position, or you can have it minimized in the corner. You can just work off chart. You can be a little bit clever with that and just go into the habit of not perhaps having, you know, your account balance or your P&L or your positions always up on the full screen, which is going to catch people's eye, guys. If they're walking past and they're doing something different and they catch, you know, a notional value of your positions on the screen or whatever the money it may be, they're going to immediately look, because people just do, and then they're going to ask questions or whatever. So, you know, perhaps getting used to that. Another thing is getting a desk or a space where you're out of people's way a little bit. So you're just literally, you're not in the corridor, you're not having people bothering you or annoying you or whatever. So I think once you've got those things down, the disturbance, the confidentiality, the kind of being discreet about things, you get a benefit from it, because you get a lot of separation from home and work, so to speak. And you can leave, when you leave, you say, listen, I'm leaving, I'm not trading anymore, that's it, I'm done, I'm going to have my downtime, my family time, my hobby time, whatever it may be, and having that balanced life in trading. You get to, when the market's quiet, you're not sitting there looking for trades. You can get up, you can get around, you can chat with other people who are in like a common area or whatever. You're in an environment that's thriving a little bit. Maybe there's other business opportunities there that you can kind of get involved in if that's your thing as well. I think it's kind of not a bad thing to be around. The final thing is that a lot of people either really benefit from having an office or don't at all. I knew a guy who was working in the city in London. He lived in the suburbs. He used to get a train every day, commute back and forward, and that was his life for multiple years, for decades. And then he started trading, and he would, you know, he'd have his home office set up in his room, you know, a nice house. He'd have a room, he'd have a good office set up, all kitted out, everything. But he struggled to kind of switch between, you know, home and office. So what he actually ended up doing is he'd get dressed up in his suit and he'd get his briefcase or his bag or whatever. He'd go down to the station, he'd wait for the train to pull up, and he wouldn't get on the train. Then he'd walk back to home. He'd walk back to home, he'd put his briefcase down, he'd sit down, he'd do his work. And he did that kind of both ends of the day. And you know what, it worked for the guy. He just had to frame it that he was going to work now. When he finished trading, he would go to the station and would come back, and for whatever reason, as bizarre as it sounds, who cares, man? If it works, then it works. And he was able to have that separation there. He would lock his office door. That was his work area. He had the kind of, his mind was triggered into say, I'm going to work now. Because often a lot of people trading from home struggle to make that separation. The screens are always on. You kind of dart out, maybe at the end of the night, you'll then go and have your tea or your dinner, whatever it may be, and you'll do some bits and pieces around the house, then you'll come back to the screen, and then it blurs the lines a little bit. I think the separation is needed. For a lot of people, that separation is needed. So this is something to consider. Co-working environment, they're relatively cheap. It's a good thing. You tend to not have to commit to too long, but I think as long as you know, make it clear that you're not to be disturbed when you're trading, especially if you're kind of day trading, you know, people get to know that there's no point asking you for stock tips or where the market's going to go next or whatever, because that's not your thing. You can just say, hey, I don't trade that, I trade currency pairs or whatever. And then the confidentiality thing, just getting used to kind of not having your stuff on the screen, but it might be worth trying out if it's something that you feel is an issue by trading from home. Anyway, guys, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below about co-working or office space, and I shall see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.